So I'm in my car. I'm not driving. I'm just waiting. I'm waiting for my wife because she's doing some things. And, I kind of have this feeling lately that is something that I kind of feel like is worth talking about a little bit. I have talked a lot on my YouTube channel about how, you know, like how success is defined by what you define it by, and like how you define it and things like that. That you shouldn't just define it by money alone, and I kind of feel like that is more important now than ever. But it's a pain in the ass, obviously, because like none of us really know how it is to that we're supposed to get around all of this stuff that we're dealing with on a daily basis. Like everyone, I think in some way or another, if you're an artist, if you're a musician, or whatever, wants to have some kind of level of success with their work. And would like it if they could be making some money off of it and things like that. But we live in this capitalist hellscape now, where like basically people just, I don't know, just kind of throw their money at the dumbest of things that they possibly can most of the time, and don't really think about like where their money is going or why it should be spent in ways that can support things that are worth something. I mean, like, it's a little strange because, like, obviously everyone can feel sort of the opposite of this if they're making money and doing well financially and all these other kinds of things. But I don't really know at this time almost any artists that are doing well per se as artists. And I'm putting aside, honestly, I'm putting aside the the big name artists out there and all that other kind of stuff. I think it's great that some of them have actually managed to make it the way that they have. There are artists out there right now that have come up from nothing to, making a lot of money as musicians and artists and etc. But I'm putting them aside because they don't really count. There is not a sustainable ecosystem for artists in this world right now. I don't really know what that would look like, in all honesty, right? Like, and I'm interested to know like what people would say would be considered a sustainable ecosystem for artists. Because all of the things that we've been told are in theory sustainable are just not. Like I'm sorry, but a penny per Spotify play is not sustainable. The way that artists get paid for live gigs and in venues and things like that is pretty much not sustainable, and never really has been. But I've definitely seen it go for sure down the tubes in recent years. In the mid to late 2000s, when I was primarily a working drummer all the time, I was making enough money to live and live comfortably for me. Like, I don't need a whole lot, and I don't think many of us do. But I was living all right. I don't know any way that I would be able to do that now, not in 2018. I just don't think it would be really possible. So I don't really see a lot of sustainability happening in most ways right now. And again, like, I don't totally know what necessarily would be considered sustainable, but I do know that $50 here and there from a gig, you know, a few bucks off of some Spotify plays and things like that. Just, there's no way. And, you know, it's funny because I've talked a lot before about how, like, the world doesn't owe you anything, you know, like, it just doesn't. Like, the world doesn't owe you shit. You don't, there's nothing coming to you just because you are talented or good at something. It's unfortunate, but it's true. It would be awesome if that were the opposite, but it's just not. You know, I mean, the world doesn't give a shit about us. It doesn't give a shit about you. And that's not to be like super nihilistic about things. It's just the truth, you know. We have to be making our own path. We have to make our own road and things like that. I think that now is the time more than ever to be doing that, because there is literally no security in almost anything. You know, I am lucky enough that I get to continue working in the music industry in some way or another because of the company that I have created and built up. My company, Obedia PC Audio Labs, and I get to work in the music industry. I'm still a musician, but I'm not on the road all the time. And, you know, and I'm pretty lucky. I remind myself of that every day, but there is no job security in what I'm doing. And I have a lot of times where I kind of wonder if I'm really going to make any money this month, because I choose to be self-employed, and because, again, in this capitalist hellscape that we live in now, all people want is the absolute cheapest thing that they can ever get. They don't like paying for things. They don't like hearing that a service is a paid service instead of a free service. They don't like hearing that a product comes at a more premium price instead of being incredibly stupid cheap, because all they want is the cheapest possible thing that they can get. Because, you know, admittedly, most people are broke as well and in the same shit, and so they just want things to be inexpensive. But that's because people also just want things. They don't see value, and there's a difference between wanting things and seeing value, and I think that that's an important thing to remember. And like I say, it's important for me to remember all the time that I'm pretty lucky that I am able to survive, but I survive on a lot of different things, a lot of different sources of income, all of which I have managed to make mostly from the ground up, and all of which I also unfortunately kind of expect some days to just go away at the drop of a hat, and for me to just suddenly be fucking broke again. It's scary as shit. But you know, I think that now is the time more than ever for people to be making their own thing and doing their own thing and trying their own thing and defining what it is that they consider to be success. Because again, if you define success only as money, then you're in trouble. That's just not the way it works. So those are some thoughts. Let me know what you think. Later.